Hello, my loves. Welcome back to Chemistry with Kismet Tarot. I am Monica, the Kismet Chemist. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Welcome to the family. I'm honored to have you. If you're returning, welcome back. I've missed you. All right, you guys, I know this is later in the week than last week's weekly guidance was, but these were pretty heavy messages. So I think I'm going to give some more time in between for each one. So we might just do progressive, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday releases. I haven't decided yet. Still kind of formulating it, but be that as it may, this week's what if question is going to be a mystery question. So I will pick from the what if cup, but I'm not going to do it on camera this time because your guides want you to pick based off of the archetypes. And there's a caution here to really use your intuition and trust yourself the absolute most. Don't go with what you think you should, but go with what you know in your gut, in your intuition, in your heart is where your message is. So without further ado, for pile 1, we have child wounded, and these are all going to be the archetypes that the question is addressing. Pile 2, we have the hermit. Pile 3, we have the vampire. And pile 4, we have the exorcist. All right, my loves. So trust yourself, trust your intuition, and I will see you at your piles. Timestamps will be in the description box as well as the comment section below. Love you guys. I will see. Say hi. Willow, say hi. Say hi, guys. Say hi. Say, I'm going to help pick. Want to help pick? This one? That one? Yeah? That the one? Okay. We have our what if question. Oh, this is one of my favorites. What if you could remember your past lives? I thought that would be a fun little treat for you guys. So what if you could remember your past lives? I'm really excited for this one. All right, let's get into it. Hello, my amazing pile 1s. All right. So if you chose the child wounded, the light attributes of child wounded are awakens compassion and desire to serve other wounded children, opens the learning path of forgiveness, and the shadow attributes are blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds and resists moving on through forgiveness. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I'm still having a lot of fun learning this new camera and everything because it does this auto adjust for lighting and autofocus and auto movement and everything. So I'm really not used to it. So if I get all weird, we get weird here all the time. So the question is, what if you could remember your past lives? So this archetype is part of your persona that is attached to remembering past lives. So when we're children, a lot of the times children remember so much more on a soul level than we're capable of as adults. And that's because they come in with this very open energy, open heart chakra, open third eye. And over time and experiences, those things start closing off. And sometimes we have a hard time realizing the purpose behind that. So with this card talking about forgiveness, and it mentions it both in the light and the shadow attributes, and that is the focal point of this wounded child archetype is whether or not you can have compassion, give forgiveness, and move forward, and then teach others how to do the same so that we all heal from our childhood and our childhood wounds, or you hold on to it and you become the thing that you aren't able to let go of. You aren't able to forgive. You essentially repeat the patterns. When it comes to forgiveness, sometimes it's about realizing that we're not excusing what happened. We're not making allowances for what happened. We're saying, I am choosing peace within my heart. I am choosing peace within my soul. I am choosing peace within my mind. And I am choosing to see that we are all on these soul journeys. So every time you get wronged on this soul journey or you wrong another person, forgiveness comes into play. And these are roles that we signed up to play. So much of our lives, we have control over aspects. We make the choices. But a lot of the big impactful moments are things that we have agreed to on a soul level as not always necessarily what is going to happen, but definitely a potentiality. So our soul says, okay, I understand that I'm going to be playing out these lessons with these other souls. I understand that this struggle and hardship is something that I may have to go through in a physical form. And I know on a soul level that that might be a challenge for me in the physical world. But I'm willing to take up the challenge because I'm willing to aid myself and the other souls involved in healing and moving beyond this wound so that we may all ascend. I talk on this channel a lot about we all rise or we all fall. This is kind of the same premise. And it doesn't mean that in the physical form, we are all going to be kumbaya, sitting around the campfire, holding hands and getting along. It means that sometimes we're going to interact with souls that we have a contract with in order to heal these wounds that we have. And we come here knowing that that openness that we're born into is going to close. And it doesn't always close completely. Sometimes it closes in one aspect over the other. So your third eye can stay wide open and you can be incredibly spiritually gifted, but you may have a lot of fear and lock up that heart chakra and that solar plexus chakra so that you have a easier time connecting with the higher realms than the realms around you. You have a really hard time getting grounded in this life. And that's something that you have to work through. But I believe that we all chose to come here on a soul level, chose to come here knowing that we were all going to be wounded as children because those that came before us were wounded. And so there's so many souls. There are so many people awakened that are seeing these childhood traumas and these patterns and all of these belief systems. They're seeing it and they're working to heal it through changing the behaviors, through changing the mindsets, through speaking out about it, and through standing in their own personal authentic truth. And everyone's own personal authentic truth is different from everyone else's. And that's the trick. That's where the wounding comes in, is when we try to have uniformity and conformity rather than uniqueness and acceptance. This archetype within you is tied to a past life, and it may be tied to a past life with your parents where they were the child and you were the parent, and now the roles are reversed. Alternately, it could be that you're repeating the exact same dynamic because it's like a do-over. It's like, okay, we didn't complete this pattern and this cycle in the way that we were meant to in a past life. So now we're going to do it again. But the thing is if we remembered those vividly, then it would be like having all the cheat codes to a game. And as fun as that is, it kind of takes away the challenge, but it also takes away the growth. So my husband is a gamer, and I'm actually like spirit's showing me that association. So my kids like to skip forward. They like to skip the cutscenes in games, and they like to really try and go fast forward through the game, and then they miss so much. They miss all the little Easter eggs and all the little treasures. But my husband, over time, has learned to be far more diligent when he plays video games. So he will spend a lot of time in a singular area looking for everything that is possible to be found. And in doing so, he actually increases his knowledge and his wisdom about gameplay, about the different features and treats and factors of the game itself. But he also is able to understand the story that much better. If we all could remember our past lives automatically, we would not have the appreciation for the depths in which we go to on the spiritual journey, and especially when it comes to healing the wounded child. Because when we're healing the wounded child, when we recognize that we have healed a specific pattern in this life, but there's still some emotions being elicited from some sort of situation that has to do with that same wound that we know that we've healed. And we say, you know what, Spirit, I've healed this. What is the lesson here? The lesson is that this is something that you can look to for another lifetime. And you can see the pattern a little bit more clearer, but you also are able to step into a deeper state of trust with Spirit, with your gifts, and with your co-creation in your reality in this way. That's amazing. This message went way deeper than I expected it to just with this. So the way that these are broken down, and I have the breakdown over here, we have divination of the ancients, and this is how your spiritual gifts and your connection to Spirit are being impacted by this archetype, and it's tied to your past lives. Another message that I'm hearing is about association, is that sometimes you try to associate something with a situation in your life, and it may be a situation that is similar, but if it doesn't feel right to make that association, there are other avenues that this could be presenting itself to you in order to be healed. And for me, on my spiritual journey, that did happen through doing past life regression. I noticed where certain emotions and thoughts were coming up, and I could not find a source in my current situation or in any part of my past that I was working on healing. I couldn't source it in this lifetime. So I would look to my past life. And some of my past lives, I'm able to remember when I tap into it, when I really open myself up and go into a deep trance meditation, but not always. Some of it I've had to take on faith and channeling. And it can be hard, especially for a rational brain, but it is deeply healing, and it helps you see the areas of our lives where we don't necessarily know consciously that we are making associations to something in this life that actually belonged to a past life. Okay, so the wisdom of the oracle right here is how this lesson is connected to your current situation. These symbols are about how your guides come to you in symbols and symbolic form out in the outside world, or messages being brought to you. And then this is the divine feminine, and it is a point of empowerment once you integrate all of this information. And then we're going to grab the tarot and do a message. We're going to get the message before we get the divine feminine. So let's look at these three first, and then we'll get the message. So we have clouds and mystical. Card number 16 with all that glitters. And card 50 with spiritual cleansing. Okay, so when you were a kid, did you ever lay out in your yard in the summertime or springtime or just whenever it was nice out, lay out there and just like stare up at the sky, stare up at the clouds, watch as they pass by, watch and formulate the different figures that they're making, and, you know, play out a story in your head about what they were telling you, what they were teaching you. That level of imagination of everything is possible and anything is possible, to the extent that even the clouds are able to communicate with you and teach you and come to you and share with you. That that level of innocence. I wanted to say innocence, but then naivety tried to come out. So you may see that now as a naive perspective. And that would be how it's getting kind of it's like this interference. I'm hearing static. It's like this interference between you and that innocent childlike wonder that you had when you were brought into this world, and in your younger years when you were very innocent and open. It's being able to see the mystery and the magic in literally everything. But when you are in this wounded state and you're not able to let go, you're not able to move beyond the pain. And I'm not saying that it isn't valid pain. All pain that we deal with is valid, especially our childhood wounds. It's always based off of our own perceptions, always. So the only one holding your perception hostage and your ability to heal hostage right now is your own mindset, in that you can't shift this perspective. And if you open yourself back up to this belief that anything is possible, and that the clouds can speak to you and they tell you stories and they're your friends, and you can experience all of this mystical, magical, everything within the world, that's when you start realizing that you have the power within you to heal. It's like Dumbo realizing Dumbo was the one that had the power all along and had nothing to do with, what was it, a feather? It had nothing to do with that. Dumbo was the one that could fly. Now with this, all that glitters, the lesson here is in hearing what other people are saying and going with what they say. That's a wound that we carry when we're children, that we believe that we don't know better because our parents teach us certain aspects and certain traits that we're supposed to do. And so because we are taught that, we think, well, we need to go with what our parents say. This All That Glitters card talks about not everything that glitters is gold. Not everything that is shiny and appealing is right for you. Well, sometimes we continue forward in our lives and we don't realize that it's in the nitty-gritty that we have our greatest growth and we find our greatest jewels. This is asking you to see the correlation between how things were in your childhood and how things are now, and realize that for some of you, it may not even have been in your childhood, but you may associate it with your childhood. There's that association again, where it's like, okay, if I could remember my past lives, then I would know definitively what my gifts are. I would know definitively what my experiences were, what my patterns were. So I wouldn't make the same mistakes that I have made in this life, because I wouldn't go down those same pathways. But if you knew that, again, we're right back to that video game analogy. If you knew that, if you had all those cheat codes, then you would not be doing your growth and your healing justice in this life. And then your guides come to you. You may see hamsas, so they're like the hands. You could be seeing evil eyes, full moon. I'm hearing wind chimes. Anything with sacred geometry. But if you've been hearing a lot about it's time to do a cleanse, you know, I have gotten this message about taking salt baths, purifying your energy, you know, Palo Santo, saging, all of these things, ways of spiritual cleansing. Your guides are letting you know that it's time to clear your energy because you're trying to find too many places in this life. And Occam's razor applies. The simplest answer is the best. And sometimes the simplest answer is that it doesn't belong to this lifetime. It belongs to a past lifetime. So what if you could remember that? That's the question. What does your shadow want you to know about if you could remember your past lives? Spirit and guides for pile 1. Okay. We have the Wheel of Fortune, the Two of Pentacles. Okay, thank you. The Chariot and the Ace of Swords. Those need to be reversed. Okay, thank you. And on the back, we have the High Priestess. This is about you and your spiritual gifts. Very, very strongly, especially you, Pile 1. This is about your spiritual gifts, your ability to tap into some deeper wisdom and mystical knowledge. But your shadow wants you to know that you may be afraid of what your fate or your destiny or your soul path is in this life. You may be afraid of that. Why? Because you may be afraid that you can't juggle everything that you have going on in your life. And part of that is because you may have grown up with parents or a parent. Some of you may be children of single parents, and in particular, single fathers. That's very interesting. That's new energy. Where there was always this struggle to balance. And it was balancing being in your life and work, being in your life and having their own life. There may have been a kind of sense when you were a kid that there might have been some resentment from your parent. But I get a sense for those of you who had single parents who had a struggle relationship. Is that how I struggle? Your relationship was a struggle. It just came through as like it was a struggle relationship. You had a relationship that was a struggle for deeper connection with your parent. If you had a single parent, this is pretty particular. It could apply if you have two parents. You guys would have to let me know. But if you had trouble connecting to them on a deeper level, and part of that is because you sensed some sort of resentment from the parent towards you. And you may have spent a lot of your childhood as a fixer, as the one who does all the cleanup, the pickup. I'm going to put everything together. I make everybody happy. That caregiver, people pleaser, fixer energy. Never enough, never good enough. And I don't get the sense that it was anything that you ever received like directly. It feels like an empath kind of sensation. Like you can just feel it. You can feel that energy of resentment. I'm getting the sense that your parent may not have known how to verbalize the fact that they were feeling that about your other parent, and they didn't want any kind of negativity about that because they didn't want you to feel like you were a burden. And sometimes parents make mistakes. I'm a parent. We make mistakes. We don't verbalize anything quite as clearly as we need to. And so this could make you feel like to embrace your soul mission and balance everything out and be this person that you're truly meant to be would just be to throw fuel on the fire of that resentment. And you see how hard things are and how hard your childhood was and what you grew up with, but you don't realize that some of that had nothing to do with you. Some of what your parents went through, it didn't have to do with you. And as adults, when we look back on it, we have a hard time seeing that because our perception is based off of ourselves. And so we are all literally like the sun in our own perception, in our own universe. We create it. Your shadow wants you to understand that you don't need to be afraid of your destined path. You don't need to be afraid of seeing the truth. You don't need to be afraid of your gifts. And you don't need to be afraid of embracing, explaining things, and healing things through past lives. That's pretty strong because you might get more clarity than you think if you did something like a past life regression, a past life reading, or if you simply asked spirit to show you, whether it's, in a meditative state, in a dream state, or just like daydreaming, staring at the clouds and asking spirit to show it to you in the clouds. You might get more clarity than you think, a much higher perspective. And that higher perspective would show you your path to healing. That way, you can really, truly start embracing your spiritual gifts. So let's find out what your empowerment is. Oh my God, you're kidding me. Catherine Leborn, the patroness of miraculous healing. I am ready to heal. I am worthy of the miracles meant for me. You are ready to heal, pile one. And if you can open this avenue of that wonderment, that mystic energy within you, and start believing in this stuff a little bit more. And I know it's easy to be on a tarot reading and be like, I watch these readings all the time. Of course, I believe these things. It's significantly different when you have to do it for yourself. And I know that because I've had to do it myself. It's a lot easier for me to watch someone do a reading on a past life and be like, okay, that makes sense. And it might, but there might be finer details, subtler nuances to your own situation that Spirit's calling you to say, you need to look into this for you because you're the one that has the answers within. Your soul knows this. You need to do the full gameplay instead of watching someone do a speed run or instead of using all the cheat codes and trying to jump through from point A to point B and calling it good. You're the one that has to do that. And so when we do that on our own, on our spiritual journey, we have to embrace our own mystical gifts and trust in our own mystical gifts. And that's a really hard thing to do for some of us, especially when you have this wounded child that doesn't know necessarily how to completely forgive and move forward in healthy ways and healthy relationships and help others. There is that pay it forward energy. So the core of this message, and I know it's a what if you could remember your past lives? Spirit's saying you can, but it wouldn't benefit you to have full access to everything because you need to play the game. You need to see how capable you are of doing a full run through, of experiencing and finding everything that is within each level up that you get to have in this life, because that is more exciting. It's more enjoyable. And there's a lot more personal growth and reward that you find within your ego self so that you move forward with that much more confidence and empowerment. Because when you see that you are worthy and ready of healing and you are capable of healing, just like this Catherine Leborn says, I am ready to heal. I'm worthy of miracles. When you can see that and let yourself believe that, you can find a new path of healing. You really can. All right, pile one, this is amazing. I was not sure what to expect when this question came out, but this was pretty awesome. And I'm honored to bring this message forth. I want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you to your guides, my guides, and Spirit for facilitating the connection between our energies and allowing these messages of healing, clarity, and peace to flow through. Thank you. All right, pile one. If this resonated, you guys know what the deal is. Those are those fun little YouTubey things, the likes and subscribes and comments and all that whatnot stuffs. I don't know. It's a weird day. It's always weird. But pile one, I love you guys. Thank you again for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hello, pile two. If you chose the Hermit archetype card, this is your message about what if you could remember your past lives. So the way that I have these cards set out is this archetype card is part of the persona for you right now that is the most prevalent. I also heard the word promising. The most prevalent within your energy field right now that is attached to what if you could remember your past lives. This divination of the ancients is an area of spiritual gifts that are being impacted now. The wisdom of the oracle is the connecting lesson between, past lives, this kind of wondering, what if you could remember past lives and how would that impact you now and your life currently. The symbols here card is about how your guides indicate the connection to a past life. And this divine feminine is about an empowering state that you are capable of coming into once you integrate the messages today. And we're going to be using tarot, which you guys can't see, but I have it right up over here. We're going to be using tarot to get a message from your shadow about what it is that you need to heal and integrate. So this Hermit card, the light attribute, says, seek solitude to focus intently on inner life and serves personal creativity. The shadow attributes are withdraws from society out of fear or negative judgments of others and refusing to help those in need. So in the realm of what if you could remember your past lives, there's actually a more specific message for you coming out than I have gotten thus far for the energies and the messages for the other piles. With your energy, what I'm getting is if you could remember a specific past life that you had, and it's going to be a different past life for everybody watching, but it is a very specific past life to each one of you. There was something within that past life in which you sacrificed some aspect of your own creative gifts, skills, and talents in order to serve the many rather than really doing what you wanted to do. I'm actually being shown the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, and it's kind of like if Michelangelo had been told exactly how he was meant to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, zero creative freedom whatsoever. His entire creation was dictated. That means that in his life, his greatest work of art is something that was done because of someone else, for someone else. And he's exalted for this singular thing. So it attaches to his soul, and it wasn't necessarily what he wanted to do. Now, I don't know the finer details of the whole Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel, but it's an analogy that Spirit's giving me. But with this card, the Hermit also speaks to Virgo energy and how you can overanalyze a certain situation. And that may be a tendency that you have in this life that is actually tied to a past life where you needed to know, it's like you needed to be able to read the room really, really, really well, really fast in order to be exactly who you were meant to be. So this is also like a court jester in the old stories where the court jester would have to know what the limits on the jokes, the types of jokes, all of that were, and what the people wanted, but also what the king or queen wanted. It's that very fine line. So what I'm getting with the what if you could remember your past lives, for you, there's almost a necessity for you to realize that there is a part of your energy field right now that is being impacted by a return of a past life situation. And as this past life situation returns, it's actually calling you to realize that this is your opportunity. This is your soul's chance. It's like that build-up moment of the comeback story. This is your soul's comeback story. This is your chance to be like, not what does the collective need? What do I need? Because what you need is what the collective needs. And that's something that gets lost in translation so often, especially when we're talking about being of service in this world. We think, well, what does everybody else need? The truth is it's what is authentic to us. What is it that we know that we are able to create? And what is it that we need in our hearts, in our souls, in our lives, in our creative endeavors? What magic do we have, and what do we want to co-create with the universe? Because that is what the collective needs. And so if you could remember your past lives, you would be able to see this pattern that has been playing out, and it would give you that kind of oomph that you need right now to say, okay, I'm going to do what is right for me. And then I'm going to put forth that energy so that when people come into contact with me, they understand that this is something that is from my heart. And that is what we need. It genuinely is. I know they talk in creative fields in the world, like writing. They talk about writing for your audience. Even content creation, they talk about what does your audience need? What does your audience want? Sacrifice yourself for the sake of the audience. And it can be something that makes you feel like this is the wrong thing to do internally, but you do it anyway because the response is what you would expect. It's kind of like, okay, I'm going to create YouTube content in which I'm fitting exactly in with what the algorithm wants to promote right now, but also within whatever is popular at the time. And I'm going to do that and sacrifice my own creative prowess, skills, talent, desires, wishes, hopes, dreams, because it would be self-serving for me to do that. I would, but that's the light attribute. It serves personal creativity. You go on this inner journey to discover your inner creativity, and you serve your inner creativity, your personal creativity. And when you're not doing that, then you are actually refusing to help those in need. And we have this kind of dissonance in the world, in all the teachings that say, if you are of service, you have to think about what everybody else wants. And so you can't serve your own personal creativity. You have to create what other people want, what other people need. And it doesn't matter what you want or need or what is important to you in your inner life. It matters the outside world. Your guides are coming forth to say you've been doing that enough lives now, that it's time for you to look at this Hermit card, at the light attributes and the shadow attributes, and realize the miscommunication, the lost in translation information. So let's see how it's impacting your spiritual gifts. Oh my gosh, I'm not surprised. We have pendulum and decision. It has you waffling. You're vacillating back and forth between, do I make this or do I make that? Do I do this or do I do that? What is right for me? What matters to me? And the more that you waffle back and forth, the harder it is for the universe to bring to you what you need, like all the different little pieces that you need in order to work together with the universe and co-create what you need to co-create. So what is the connecting lesson? You have the card 39 with new life. The connecting lesson is, in order for what you desire to come into fruition, you have to make a firm decision. And that firm decision has to be based off of serving your own personal creativity and not based off of what anyone else says. Your inner life and your connection to spirit internally is what you know is right for you. But there's a part of you that may have forgotten it. You guys may be called to shamanism or called to reach out to a shaman to do soul retrieval work, because there is this energy of this piece. The reason why this is so prevalent within your energy field is because there is a piece of your soul that is trapped within that past life. And I keep being brought back to the Renaissance. So if the Renaissance is repeating for you, if you have been really drawn to that era, if you do like Renaissance festivals during the warm months, anything like that. Also, I just heard Merlin, so King Arthur and the Round Knights, Sir Gawain, Beowulf, Chaucer, the old English stuff. That would be an era or eras that you would want to kind of look into to see what triggers within your soul to awaken within. And that would be a hermit journey. That is an inner journey that can be taken. So let's see how your guides are showing you. So this is how they indicate the connection. We have gratitude with the number 35. So when you create something and you're creating for the sake of someone else and not for you, and you finish it and you look at it, and everybody else responds and they're like, oh, that's so amazing. Thank you so much for bringing this into the world and everything like that. And you say, you're welcome. I'm so grateful for whatever. Is that gratitude authentic? Does it feel like a flame internally, like that inner flame, like sparking up, like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. So when I first tried to do these what if messages. It was 2 years ago, literally 2 years ago this month. So it was March of 2021. And I was using a different camera. I had like a camcorder and really crappy audio. And I kept having these issues with it. I'd record and the audio wouldn't work, or I would record and the battery would suddenly die. And it just over and over and over again. And the last time I tried filming, I spent, I want to say like 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half, trying to bring forth a collective message based off of what if you could remember your past lives. Down to the point that I was using the Osho Zen Tarot deck, and it has a card in there that was past lives. And I remember freaking out when that card flew out of the deck because I was like, there is so much right with this message. And then when I was done, I looked at my camera and there was no audio. Everything was just kind of like, it didn't work at all. It was very similar to the way that my tech crashed when I was doing the Taurus reading for the Virgo full moon on rising sign messages. It was very similar. And so I felt that level of gratitude, but it didn't pan out energetically. And so I didn't realize that I was creating because I was trying to make something that might be appealing for other people. So I might get likes and I might get subscribers and I might grow my channel. I didn't realize that that was the energy I was coming forth with. And I needed to really make a firm decision about what I wanted for myself. I was toggling back and forth between, am I really right to do this? Do I really have these gifts? All of these things. And when you are in that state, you can't actually have that new beginning because it's this disconnect feeling where you want to be grateful and you want to feel that and you want all of that. But if the creation itself doesn't come from your own authenticity, then it's like putting a stopper on this new life beginning. And it's because you don't realize what you actually have within you and how worthy of being created it really is. So I stopped making tarot videos for a very long time. I didn't start back up again until I launched this channel in September. And then I did one reading until I think January of 2022, where I really started getting serious about this channel because it felt right. It was the right time. So your guides want you to know that they're showing you people who do what you want to do, who create things in the area that you genuinely want to create. And you're hearing how they feel about it and you want that, you yearn for that. But there's a fear there. And that fear is that you won't be accepted because it's something that you desire so strongly. And when that happens, that vacillation, when you see those other creators or those other people doing whatever it is, it can be really confusing. It can be really painful, and it can trigger some deep shadows because you can look at them and be like, well, why can't that be me? Why do they feel that way? Why can't I feel that way? Why can't I experience that? When is it my turn? But your guides are showing you that so that you can see what you are capable of and having and creating in your life. It's not so that you do everything that everybody else is doing because you think that that's what is needed of you. That's not what's needed, expected, nor wanted of you. Spirit wants you to co-create with a kind of magical essence of knowing who you are, knowing your power, and standing in that, really firmly standing in that, and understanding that gratitude really does go a lot further. I actually had someone who commented on my channel a while back who just went off on me for being like, you should be grateful for spirit and your spirit guides, like went off on me on this channel about me saying that. and saying, I shouldn't be grateful because it's what's due to me. Be grateful, but remember to be grateful for yourself as well, because spirit is grateful for you. And understanding that this life that we have is a blessing. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how much we are challenged, it's a blessing. You can choose to look at it through the lens of this fear, withdrawing and feeding into the negative. Or you can say, I know that I have this inner turmoil, but I also know that I can create and heal and move forward. And I'm going to make a firm decision. And it's going to be a decision that is based solely on my heart, because I understand that the power for me restarting my life or starting a new journey in my life or having a complete overhaul in a new life in this experience, it lies within my own hands. And for that, I am so grateful. I am grateful for this life, for this opportunity, for what I contain within myself, for this wisdom, for this knowledge, and for my guidance. I am grateful for the magic that I contain. And the more that you embrace that and actually believe those words, the more that your life takes on a whole new level of energetic attraction, essentially. You transcend what happened in the past, and it helps you to heal what happened from the past. So the message that your shadow has about what is needed for healing and integration, we start with the King of Wands, which is talking about you owning your own charisma, owning your own power, owning your own majesty, and your own ability to create whatever it is that you desire to create, because the King of Wands is that entrepreneur card. It's that go-getter energy. I know what I want. I see what I want, and I'm going to go after it. And I don't care who gets in my way. I will burn this shit down because that's what's needed for me to move forward. I will burn it down, and I will, like the phoenix, rise up with a brand new life from the ashes. I will create my new life out of ash. And no one would believe that I was capable of doing that, but watch me. And that's what your shadow wants you to do. Your shadow that, could feel angry at the way that certain things play out, the way that certain people get what you want. And there can be that triggered anger there. It's because your shadow wants you to stand in your power. Yeah, we've got the Fool. Stand in your power and stop holding yourself back. We have the Fool and new life here. There's no need to hold yourself back from experiencing all that life has to offer to you, because a new life is for the taking. It's up to you. Okay. We've got the Eight of Wands. I love that. It's a mermaid. Interesting. All right. And then we have the Knight of Cups. On the back, we have the Ten of Wands. And I love this Ten of Wands because usually the Ten of Wands is all about, the burdens that we carry. But she's literally like, shit, you think this is a burden? I'm going to show you how to take every pain and every wound that I've ever had, and I'm going to turn it into a blessing. I'm going to turn it into a personal power. So this is literally, your shadow is like, if you would tap into me and move beyond the fear, move beyond the anger, the resentment, the rage, let me show you how to take those and leap into something new. Because look, you're literally like creating wands out of water. You're creating fire from water, and that is unheard of. That's what you have to offer. You have some sort of magic within you that is ready to be awoken, ready to arise, ready to come forth, and come forth rapidly. And it all kind of spawns from some sort of passion. Look how he's looking down at that cup. There's so much love for what you have contained within you that you want to create, this inner creativity, this personal creativity that you have within you. The only thing stopping you is yourself. But the question was, what if you could remember your past lives? If you could remember your past lives, you would remember all the times that you have sacrificed yourself and your own personal creativity for the sake of others. Would you walk down the same worn path again in this life, or will you create from the heart, co-create with the universe, with spirit. Create the magic that you contain within you and share it with the world. That's the real question. So let's see what your empowerment is. Yes, Lakshmi, the goddess of abundance. I choose to feel abundant. Wealth is an inside job. Don't let anyone tell you that what you have to offer or what you want to create, that the market is oversaturated, that it's not possible, that you don't have enough experience, that you need this, that, and whatever behind your name, or more whatever, that you're not good enough. No, do not let anyone tell you that. Lakshmi, tap into her energy because she's literally telling you you have an abundance within yourself. Monetarily, your new life is abundant. Your new life is filled with wealth, and it's because you create from the inside out. It's an inside job. The light attributes focuses on that inner life. Your inner life is rich. And it is ready to be birthed into the physical world. And even your shadow is like, let's do this. Like, let's do this. You literally have the counterparts. I know this is the king and it's the 10, but this feels counterpart energy. Your queen of wands is ready to be on her throne. But the more that you hold on to the past, the more burdened she becomes. Your divine feminine is ready to show your divine masculine what to do, where to go, how to move, how to create this. And there is so much abundance for you. It's amazing. And it's literally within your hands. Like, are you guys sculptors or painters? Because like the hands are just so prominent between Lakshmi and this pendulum. It just feels like you create something with your hands that has the potential to change your world and aid so many other people. Simply because it's what you want to create. Own your uniqueness, own your individuality, own your power, own your creation, and own your own abundance. Because now is the time for you to do that. If you could remember your past lives, the question here that your guides want you to ask yourself is, if you could remember your past lives, would you make the same mistakes and walk the same path? Or would you summon the strength and the courage within yourself, say, screw the judgments of others. I'm going to walk my path loud, proud, and abundantly in this lifetime. I'm going to break the chains, break the cycles, break the patterns, and I am going to rise up. What are you going to choose, pile 2? Because that is the real question. All right, pile 2, this is incredible. Thank you so much for being here. I want to say thank you to your guides, my guides in spirit, for facilitating the connection between our energies so these messages could flow through. And I pray that it helps infuse and uplift pile 2 with this kind of energy, because this is incredible energy. So thank you. All right, pile 2. If it resonated and you guys feel called to do those YouTube-y things, feel free. You can like, share, subscribe, comment, interact, whatever you want to do. Either way, I hope you guys find peace, solace, and some real true empowerment from this. I love you guys. I will see you in my next reading. Bye. Hello, pile 3. If you chose the 3rd archetype card, the vampire archetype, this is your weekly what if. And the what if question, in case you guys jumped straight, because I did like a surprise at the end of the intro, where I let Willow pick out the what if, sort of. Anyway, the question is, what if you could remember your past lives? Now, the archetype card is going to signify the part of your persona that is prevalent right now and attached to this question. So there is something within the realm of past lives, past life regression, and incarnation in particular for you that I'm feeling that's very specific to this pile, that is prevalent within your energy field that spirit and your guides want to talk about. We do have a Divination of the Ancients card here, and this is about the area of your spiritual gifts that are being impacted. This is the Wisdom of the Oracle. This is the connecting lesson between past lives and present life, and in the realm of incarnations. The symbols is how your guides are communicating with you. Different symbols that they bring to you, messages that they bring to you to kind of indicate to you that this is the topic. This is the focal point that you need to have, that you may have not realized was connected to this. That's specific to you as well. This is a very specific pile. I like that a lot. Have you guys been asking for a lot more clarity, or have you been noticing that a lot more clarity is coming through? Like I'm seeing the Ace of Swords, like massive quantities of clarity coming through. Even when you're not asking or expecting it, it just all of a sudden falls into your lap. That's something that I'm feeling here really strongly. This is the Divine Feminine Oracle, and this is the empowered state that you are able to enter into upon integration of the lessons here and the wisdom here in your own unique way. We do have some tarot cards that are going to be messages from your shadow about what is needed for you to heal and integrate whatever awareness your guides are bringing forth having to do with incarnation. So let's take a look at the vampire first. The light attributes are makes you aware that someone or something is draining your life force. And the shadow attributes are depleting others for your psychic survival, chronic complaining, and codependency. Before I opened my channel for this reading, when I was looking at the vampire card, I was caught with the codependency, and I really did expect this message to be about relationships. But what I'm getting is this is more about how you interact with spirit and how you view yourself within the relationship with spirit. This is less about your relationships with outside people and more about your relationship to spirit. Because, well, this is new. In a past life, some of you may not believe in past lives. That makes it really interesting that you're here. I asked somebody that I was connected to once. We were talking back and forth, and this person had been asking me questions and asking me to use my gifts to energetically interpret something. And my first energetic interpretation was that person was testing me. And I said that specifically, only to hear, I would never do that. I would not do that. I'm not that kind of person. Well, regardless, the initial instinct was this person is testing me. I get a little bit of that energy here, like I'm being a little bit tested, like change my mind about this topic. Change my mind about this topic. It's not for me to change your mind. It's for you to change your mind. And that mentality, that energy, and I don't believe that everybody here has that. I just feel that really like directed coming at me. That mentality is actually one of the reasons why you're here. Because when it's not even chronic complaining, but when you are codependent on spirit to be, transparent, clear, tangible. I remember this phase. When you are demanding of spirit something that proof. It's like being a ghost hunter and sitting in a building and being like, if you're here, knock 3 times. I get it. Okay. Everybody wants some sort of proof of the spiritual realm. But how much of this are you putting out there that you have to have X, Y, and Z in order to be able to see spirit as part of everything and part of yourself? So this may stem back from a past life where you were actually able to see and speak with spirit. And there are people out there with this gift that can tangibly see as though it were a solid person in front of them. The show Ghost Whisperer, yes, I know it's a Hollywood TV show, but the gift itself is real. That gift, there are people in the world that have that gift. There are people that have it and shut it out. What I get from this is you likely had that gift, shut it out, but you didn't shut it out in this life necessarily. It feels like you shut it out in a prior life, a past life. And every time you're asked to take some sort of leap of faith into something spiritual, it's like a hole in the foundation, and you every single time put your foot in that hole. And it feels like a tower moment, but it's not. It's an illusion. It's because the foundation was never strong enough to build upon in the first place. Because you can't you can't expand upon a foundation that is built on doubt, that is built on requirement of, because that is creating a codependent relationship with spirit, but spirit doesn't get into codependent relationships. Spirit is a co-creative energy, a collaborative energy, which means you guys are equals in it. And if you are now I know why that situation came in. If you are interacting with people and you're finding, before I forget, I did see 1441 on my watch. I have it set to military time. And I got to thinking about reflection as I was prepping for your pile. So if you are seeing a reflection in the outside world right now of other people who are offering you certain, interactions, whether it's work related or relationships, and it comes with a side of what looks like codependency. It looks like an unequal exchange of energy where they expect you to do this and you don't get a say. That is not a collaboration. That is not co-creation. That's a vampire. That is somebody who is taking from you because they see something within you that they believe that they lack. And what are they eliciting in emotions from you is what your guides are coming forth to let you know. This is the area that this is the hole in the foundation, essentially. When they come to you and they say, I need this, 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 and this from you, how is that reflecting your interactions with spirit? And I know that this message is coming off a lot harder than I normally do, but your guides are, if I had a word for it, I'd say frustrated, because it feels like they've been telling you this for a really long time. Like, there is a level of faith that has to do with the purity of the innocence of a child. And when you have a kind of jaded and cynical view of the world and spirit and your place in this whole shebang, and whether you're ever going to find people that meld with you and mesh with you and all of these things, if you are continually going through that, even if you don't verbalize it, but you're sitting there thinking like, where is there a place for me in this world? Do I even belong in this world? Are there even people that are good in this world left? Is anything really worthy of my time and energy anymore? Because everything is just so draining and so exhausting, and it's so painful and so this and so that. It's chronic complaining. And you're essentially becoming a vampire to yourself, and then welcoming in energies that want to take advantage of the true blessings and gifts that you have, because other people can sense that you are very, very gifted. But you aren't aware that they're taking from you because you're taking from yourself at the same time. And your guides really want this cycle to stop. But this cycle is tied to parts of this spiritual journey that might be hard for you to swallow. Like, I'm hearing unpalatable. Okay, I get if reincarnation is unpalatable, because I grew up in a very Christian household, and Christianity does not support reincarnation. And I needed help to understand why I am in a Christian family and my aunt has these past life memories, and my other aunt can see and speak with spirit, and I have all of these gifts that I have. Why is this occurring in my family if this book is the end all be all? You know, and Spirit led me to learning about, and I'm going to give you guys a very brief history lesson, and you guys can do your research on your own. The Second Ecumenical Council from Emperor Justinian, who was, I believe, the last Roman emperor, and how he was basically on a tirade trying to secure the empire, the Roman Empire. And in order to do that, he wanted to control religion. So he actually had, he condemned a spiritual leader who was teaching reincarnation, because reincarnation being taught meant that people didn't necessarily have to fall in line. And Emperor Justinian wanted people to fall in line. Now, I am paraphrasing significantly because I have my own personal opinions and beliefs about what happened with that. But the Roman Catholic Church was summoned to the Second Ecumenical Council, and the Pope didn't show up because the Pope was afraid that if he showed up, his beliefs that went against Emperor Justinian would have led to him being dead. So he didn't go. And in turn, the Pope turned over the rights of what was in the Bible, what was able to be preached and practiced within the guise of Christianity and the Roman Catholic Church. All of it got turned over to the state. So while over time we had that separation of church and state, we didn't originally. In that, reincarnation was there. Now, because I did the history lesson, I did that because I had gone through a phase where I needed something tangible to work with. A lot. I went through that phase for a really long time. But I realized that the more that I was in that, I need something tangible, the less anything tangible was able to come in. So if you have spent a lot of time asking for clarity and needing clarity and then have just given up on it, that's why clarity can come in now. Because it's not like giving up in the sense of, well, this is never going to happen kind of energy. It's more like, okay, I'm going to take a leap of faith, and if I'm meant to know, I'll know. And when you took that chance, that's when you shifted or deterred from the same path as a past life. So if you could remember your past lives, you wouldn't go through the struggle in this life of needing something tangible to hold on to. And that tangibility is mostly because you've really suffered a lot in this life, and I can't negate that. That's why I was really like, I don't want to come at you guys so hard. But if you have suffered in this life and suffered at the hands of another, or suffered because of some, like me, unknown medical illness that literally created a lot of physical suffering for a very long time in my life. And I mean, it's still a struggle, but we don't need to get into that. If you're suffering from these things, why victimize yourself? Why create more suffering? Why add suffering on top of suffering? Your guides don't want that for you. Spirit doesn't want that for you. Your higher self doesn't want that for you. And I don't believe that you want that for yourself. I'm an idealist at nature, so I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. So let's find out how your spiritual gifts are being impacted. We have the I Ching with changes. They're being impacted with this kind of hesitancy to make important changes in your life, important changes in your perspective, because of this fear that it's just going to keep being what it was. And I can understand that. And especially if you're currently being bombarded with like a lot of like overwhelming revelatory clarity moments where it's like, oh, I suddenly understand this. Oh, this suddenly makes sense. Oh, I'm receiving this message, and this message is like outrageously accurate. What have you? If you're having all of these moments where everything is suddenly coming clear to you, everything is suddenly making sense, and you're suddenly like, oh my gosh, I can actually move forward from here. That can be really hard to do because you've been wrong in the past, or you've thought you had clarity in the past and then something has happened. Whatever it is, apply it as it resonates and as it applies. Like, the guise of the situation for you personally. But, making changes, making any kind of changes can feel almost debilitatingly terrifying, because what if it repeats itself? What if it happens again? But the more that you do those kind of what ifs, the more you actually perpetuate that same cycle. And that, again, comes back to that energy of reincarnation. It's almost like that perspective is ready to die and be buried. Please don't reincarnate it. Because reincarnation can happen in a multitude of ways. It's not just like we die, we go into the earth, we get reborn. We can reincarnate parts of ourselves. And some parts of ourselves are not meant to be. I know we talk about like phoenix moments. And yeah, there are those phoenix moments. But there are also like just resurrecting something from our past and from who we were that we don't need anymore. It doesn't serve us anymore. If you were in that energy of needing something tangible for a while and then spirit provided it to you so that you could break through the barrier of needing that tangibility, when you're on the cusp, on the brink of making a change, of shifting your perspective or your life in general, or something massive is coming in for you and it is meant to be a blessing, please don't resurrect an old way of being out of fear for the unknown changes coming in. You may not be able to see the change, but you may be able to feel it, and that can be hard. So let's find out the connection here. We have the card 5 with orphaned, and 5 is actually an indicator of vast changes, but it's also about adventure. So this is it's this feeling of being alone, being isolated, being secluded, being left out in the cold. It's feeling like no matter where you turn, it's always going to be just you against the world. And that's really, really challenging of a situation and an energy to overcome. And as this feeling arises within you, there is a call for you to take a look at your past self in this life. So that makes a lot of sense for incarnation. So think about your transitions, your changes, your transformations in this life. Think of them as past lives. Instead of trying to attach it to something outside of the guise of this lifetime, attach it to this life and say, okay, do I want to bring this person, this persona that I was back? Because the vacillation also could be draining you. But if you have stood in your power for this long and you know your worth and you know your value and you're starting to come to the world in that way, even if you're doing it solo dolo, it doesn't mean that you are alone. And it doesn't mean that you have no one beside you, because spirit is always walking beside you and there will always be people brought into your life. And when you move in a healthy way, you attract in a healthy way. So let's see how the signs are coming in. We have 44 with transmute. Literally with the snake, I'm getting kundalini energy. However, you may be seeing cobras or pythons, anything like that. But asking you to transmute it means asking you to really step forward into your power. And that can be hard. Give me a moment. We're going to let Willow out. All right, loves, I am back. If you guys can hear the dogs barking, I apologize. I'm going to try and edit it out, but there's somebody in the back alley. But this is the first time where I have had to pause the video, let the dogs out, and the messages are still coming in. So your guides are like, we're just going to throw it all at you. If you've been receiving a lot of messages or signs that have to do with snakes, snake symbolism, what else? Hearing transmutation, talking about alchemy, seeing the temperance card popping up. If any of that is occurring, that is your guides telling you you're ready to move beyond this. It's time to shed that skin. And how does a snake shed its skin? If a snake sits and curls up and coils up and stays exactly still, will the old skin fall off? No. A snake sheds its skin by movement, by moving forward. So this is your guides are telling you that transmutation is not as challenging as you think it is in this situation. In order to shed this old persona, to allow this to die and not be resurrected, it's time to move, moving forward, moving on from here, which means owning your own power. Wow. Okay, so let's find out what your shadow wants to say. Okay. You have the Four of Cups, the Six of Wands, the Three of Pentacles. There's one more. Yeah. And the Justice card. And on the back, we have the Queen of Wands. I love this. Because this is you standing in your power. This is like your shadow is like, look at how powerful we are. Look how powerful we are. So what your shadow wants you to know is there has been offers that Spirit wants to bring in. Offers of sustenance, offers of protection, offers of love. But your focus being on these four cups here, it keeps you from being able to see the value that is being offered to you, the love and the gifts that are being offered to you. That's why. Look at the infant in her arms. So there's this energy of wanting nurturing, wanting to be nurtured, wanting to be loved, being tired of always being strong, always being empowered, always moving forward, always moving on, always letting go, always transmuting, always shedding. But the more, again, it speaks again to that negative biofeedback loop within the brain that is complaining at yourself. I'm so tired of this. I can't do this again. I don't want to have to continue to do this. You keep saying that, and you actually hasten the process of needing to transmute because you're constantly transmuting the same thing over and over and over again. And your shadow wants love. Your shadow wants nurturing. Your shadow wants you to see that it is there and needs love. That orphaned energy, that reflection of I feel so alone, it's not because of the outside world. It's because your shadow internally is calling to you saying, I feel alone. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to be nurtured. I want to be loved. And our shadows are the parts of ourselves that need the most love. They need the most understanding. Even when we move from a shadow state and we don't behave in our best selves, in our best interest and in our best way and in the best interests of other people. Sometimes we move in a way from a place of pain and fear and anguish that we're not proud of. That part that we're moving from is what needs love. Regardless of what actions we've taken, if you forgive others, you forgive yourself. And I know that is, you can argue with me that that's a really hard thing to do. And I understand. Sure, it is, because I've been there and I've done that and I know how hard it is. But you know what, you guys, you're talking to a former alcoholic who cheated on her first husband and allowed for a lot of abuse and chose to remain ignorant to other things going on in my household. And I chose to stay blind to it. I chose not to ask for help. I chose not to speak out about it. I chose to remain in a relationship that was very abusive, toxic, and filled with insecurity, infidelity, and trauma. I chose that. Am I proud of it? No. Why did I move from that state? Because I was afraid. I was afraid of abandonment. I was afraid of being alone, and I was afraid of being unlovable. I was afraid that everything that I had heard that was negative about myself and everything negative that I had ever told myself was the truth. And nothing could be further from the truth than all of those lies. That's the same for you. That part of you that is afraid of being alone, that is afraid of these things. So you cling to these mindsets. They keep you in the same cycles and the same patterns so that it actually reinforces the belief that everybody out there is out to get you, or everybody out there is sucking and draining the life force from you, when really they're probably just worried about themselves and their own lives, and they really don't even put too much of a thought towards you too often. I'm not saying never, but too often. That mentality is what is ready to fall away. And in order for that to fall away, you have to learn how to love yourself and nurture yourself and spend time with your shadow. Because your shadow wants to show you what you guys are capable of building together. And building together while being blindfolded, while not being able to see, while not being able to hear, while not knowing what is going to come about and whether it will be balanced and fair, but doing so from a state of utter control of your own gifts, control of your own power, choice in your perception, in your power, in your magic, in your worthiness, and moving on from there. So let's see how, if you guys embrace and love your shadow, give yourself some time to love your shadow and change the way that you interact with your inside world, going through this transmutation process, what's going to come of it? Queen Esther, the morning star. My ego is in service of my soul, and I trust my soul's divine timing. You'll start seeing all of the signs around you with other people as signs that you're moving forward. This is, the morning star is Venusian energy. It's Venus heralding the start of the day, I believe. Yeah, because you see her in the morning instead of her being the first star and then the evening. She's a last star to go to bed, essentially. So she's the morning star. So you learn that these things, these fears are there for you to transmute so that your soul can grow and can also come forth that much more. This whole entire existence that you live in is nothing more or less than a journey for your soul to come online, to grow, and to show you just how amazing you are. You and your soul are one, but you are just a persona of your soul. And it's a chosen persona because your soul chose the strength that you contain within you, the courage that you have, the ability to build a firm foundation that has likely been an attempt at being built for, I heard centuries and then I heard eons, and it came from a very old energy, an old feeling, like it has been eons trying to fill this hole in. It's self-trust, and nothing can take from you because your life force is yours. And you won't take from yourself because you know that your calling is to feed yourself, to nurture yourself, to love yourself. Regardless of anything outside of yourself, this all is an internal battle right now. It may feel like an external battle, but it isn't. It is very, very internal so that you can come back to yourself, your power, and your wisdom. And that way you have healthy relationships, healthy connections, healthy love, because you give that to yourself. All right, pile 3. Wow. This was way longer than I expected, but I am here for it because this is a very powerful message, and I'm really, really, truly honored to bring it forth for you guys. So I want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to my guides, your guides, spirit, for connecting our energies, for allowing these messages to flow through, for bringing this clarity, and for bringing this awareness. I hope and pray that pile 3 takes from this reading exactly what they need so that they can move forward knowing their worth, knowing their value, and knowing how loved they are and loving themselves. Thank you. All right. Pile 3, this is what I have for you. I love you guys. If it resonated and you want to do those YouTube things, feel free. If not, I will see you at my next reading, and I love you guys. Bye. Hello, pile 4. If you chose the 4th archetype card, the Exorcist card, this is your What If weekly message. Now, the question, if you guys missed the little surprise snippet, actually I might attach it to the beginning of each pile. See, decisions in the making right now. It's crazy. Anyway, the what if question is, what if you could remember your past lives? So the archetype card is the part of your persona currently that is attached to this what if question. What if you could remember your past lives? The divination of ancients here, oracle card, is the area of your spiritual gifts that are being impacted right now, based off of whatever gets picked up with this exorcist card. Sorry, my nose itches. And then we have the wisdom of the oracle card. This is the lesson that connects from the what if question, but also your past lives to the present situation. The symbols card is how your guides indicate the connection to a past life, what symbols and signs they are bringing forth to you that you may not have realized is connected to this. And then this is the divine feminine, and it is what empowered state you can move into, or you are going to be able to move into if you choose to. I think I said that the same way twice. Upon integration of the lessons. All right. Then we've got the tarot here for messages from your shadow about what is needed for healing and integration. Okay, so you guys chose the exorcist. And first of all, are you guys neurodivergent? Because my ADHD got like way more amplified as I tapped into your guys' energy. I was like, nope, I've got to check my phone. I've got to check Instagram. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And I very rarely will do these things. I very rarely will be on my phone or checking Instagram or anything like that. There's not a lot on my phone beyond like work stuff. So I don't spend a lot of time on it. It was like I needed everything situated, and then I needed this, and then I was like, oh, I got to get something to eat, and maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. So there was a lot of distraction. And this is the first time I felt like that all day. So I don't know how that's going to play in, but I just can feel that energy really, really overpowering right now. So if I squirrel a lot during this reading, this is more of a what energy I'm picking up. And I don't want you guys to feel like this is a bad thing. Actually, I kind of feel like this is because of the card that you chose, this archetype. So we have the exorcist, and it says light attribute is freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses. And the shadow attribute is fear of facing your own demons. Now, the reason why I said I feel like this might be tied to this card is because as soon as I mentioned the fact that I might be squirreling a little bit because of the energy that I'm sitting in, I got this kind of very subtle, like, feeling of shame. Like, oh no, is she picking up what I do? Oh no, I don't want it to impact other people that are meant for this reading. I don't want it to, and so on and so forth. So that was the energy that I picked up. So the question, what if you could remember your past lives? Along with this card, the first thing that I was drawn to was actually the image on the card itself. And it made me think of a shaman and medicine men and medicine women, and the fact that in the past, the ancients that we look at as far as like ancient shamanism, ancient medicine men and women, the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Egyptians, the early Greeks, they didn't have pharmaceuticals. So somebody who is neurodivergent would not have something like Ritalin or Adderall to treat themselves. They would have to learn different ways, different methods, different techniques. But those were the people that were seen as mystics, as the gifted, as the chosen, because they were able to perceive this world in a completely different lens than people who don't have a neurodivergency. And I'm not saying either one is good nor bad. Honestly, I have a soft spot for neurodivergency, but that's because I am one, and because finding the neurodivergent community and the fact that they're finding their voice in the world really, really helped me feel seen and understood, even if I'm not interacting with a lot of them, simply for the fact that I have had that same issue as everybody else, where my brain just operates differently. It's wired differently. My perspective is so vastly different from so many people that sharing it has led to a lot of trauma. And now it is actually bringing about a lot of healing, not just for myself, but for others. And it's become a blessing for me. This energy is about that fear of facing your own demons, that shadow attribute. So in the past, when someone would have some sort of emotional upheaval, physical upheaval, mental upheaval, anything like that, a lot of it was tied to demons, entities, something, an attachment of some sort. Now, I'm going to put a disclaimer. Everybody is entitled to their own opinions and their own belief systems. And I want to say that because you absolutely are entitled to your own opinions and your own belief systems as well. And I have experienced certain things or been called to help people who have experienced certain things that I can't explain and that kind of challenge this perspective that I have. However, I choose my truth and I live in my truth. My truth is that demons are not real. The devil is not real. Hell does not exist. And these are metaphors for healing journeys that we go on and things that we are meant to heal. Now, everybody, like I said, everybody has their own opinion. When there is this fear of facing your own demons and it's tied to a past life, the first thing that I picked up was the Roman Catholic Church, and it's not enjoyable. This is not the first pile that I have picked this up in. I don't know why this energy is here at all. But I picked up this energy of ostracizing, being ostracized, being cut out of a community, out of a congregation, out of something because of a fallacy based off of neurodivergency that exists within a past life. Now, this may or may not be your past life, but this is an energy and a storyline that I am picking up. If it resonates and if you feel some sort of confirmation or your guides give you a confirmation here, then I'm picking up a past life that you have experienced. And this kind of experience is something that is more widespread than we actually think it is, because a lot of the records of these kind of things aren't there. I don't know whether they've been destroyed, hidden, whatever. I'm trying not to play into conspiracy theories. I just know that they're not there. Spirit's showing me it's like an empty book. You can open the cover, but there's nothing on the pages. So it's like records that have been written in invisible ink, but the records themselves exist within the Akasha. So there's an energy, like I said, of being ostracized from some community or congregation. Why? Because of a unique spiritual gift. Very unique spiritual gift. I just heard shadow seer. So a shadow seer is someone who can look at a person and they can see the wounds. They can see the shadows within that person. And because of that, you may have been seen as a fire starter or a whistleblower, someone, but more of, it's more like in that past life, someone thought that you were creating hysteria, when in reality, you were practicing a spiritual gift given to you by the divine because you carry the soul within you of a very ancient healer, a very ancient shamanic medicine man, medicine woman healer who is capable of seeing the layers of the fabric of reality in order to be able to see within a person. And you can see both their light and shadow attributes. But the thing is that the shadow oftentimes blocks off the light, and you know that. So in order to get to the core, get to the light, get to the soul, and see that, there is a peeling away of the layers of shadow. And as the layers of shadow are peeled away, there is a call for aiding that person in recognizing the shadow manifestation. And this is a gift that you guys have carried into this life. So you may have been that child in your youth who was considered a truth teller and got in trouble for it, or made people really nervous, really uneasy because you just automatically spoke truths that people didn't necessarily say, fears they had, worries they had, things that were plaguing them that would have operated very much like their inner demons. And what your guides want you to know with you picking the Exorcist is that you carry within you the ability to heal this out, but there is a need to face the fear of being isolated, being kicked out, being condemned and ostracized, because it won't happen in this lifetime. And that is one of the reasons why your soul incarnated into this day and age, is because it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen anymore. And your soul knew that in order to heal this particular wound out of itself, it needed to be able to reincarnate during a time in which your gifts were going to be so needed that they would be, I heard the word lauded or rejoiced or celebrated. That's powerful. Okay, let's see what area of your spiritual gifts are impacted. Yeah, coins in abundance. So with the fear of utilizing this gift, there is a tie to a fear of using it in professional ways. It's like being a Reiki healer and not using your Reiki gift for your profession, even though that is something that you feel deeply called to within your spirit. And the reason for that is because what I'm picking up, and guys, you're going to have to use your discernment. My own personal hesitation here is coming in. This is not spirit. Spirit's like, no, just keep going. For my sake, I want you to use your discernment. If this doesn't sound like your situation, if this does not sound like something that you are is contained within you and your shadow, either you have healed it out and use this as a confirmation that this is past and you have moved beyond it, or this is not your pile. So I don't have to give that disclaimer very often, but sometimes I just feel it really strongly. So in this past life, I'm hearing Judas. So in a past life, that may have been something that, and I'm not saying that you were Judas or anything like that. What I'm saying is that may be a wound that your soul carries, is this fear that you will be condemned for using your gift because it's perceived as the devil's work as it is. And then to include monetary gain on top of it is doubly so. And there is also an energy here of being told that is a gift that you're only meant to gift. You're not meant to monetize it, and therefore you can't make a living using your gifts. And so to me, this says that you guys are likely spiritual workers in some way, shape, or form, whether that is Reiki healers, shamans, mystical authors. So nope, they didn't want me to expand upon that because it just like literally disappeared. Tarot readers, oracle readers, life coaches, spiritual coaches, shadow work coaches. But as a shadow seer, sometimes the hardest thing to see is our own shadows. And sometimes the hardest shadow to see is the one that has to do with our belief that we can be abundant in a spiritual life. We're taught as a society for centuries, we have been taught that we are to turn our finances over to the church. We are to give to the physical representation of God in this world. And in doing so, I'm hearing the word prostrating. I'd have to look it up. I've heard it. I just don't know the exact definition. Let's look it up. Prostrating definition. To lay oneself flat on the ground or in reverence or submission. So basically it's to lay yourself bare in submission to, yeah. So it's to prostrate ourselves in front of the divine so that we will be guaranteed a trip to heaven because we are purifying our soul using money. There's a lot here that is coming up in shadows that spirit and your guides are really indicating that you're ready to let go of. But it's not necessarily that you're not ready to let go. Like, I feel like you guys have really been able to shift your perspective about being abundant and living an abundant life. It's more this one particular gift, using this one particular gift and using it in a professional sense. And I'm being drawn or brought to Shaman Durek, and he talks in his book. It's Spirit Hacking. I've got it over my bookshelf. It's called Spirit Hacking, and he talks about how someone thought it was so audacious of him to charge for him to perform his shamanic work. And Shaman Durek explained it very well, like, I should be compensated for this because this takes this much out of me and I have to utilize all of this energy and do all of these things. So it is an equal exchange. And if you don't agree, then we don't have to have this equal exchange. It is not unspiritual, or it does not go against spirit and against your spirit, your soul, your journey in this life to utilize your gifts to better other people while also being able to financially better yourself in your life. Wow. Okay. So let's see the wisdom here. Yes. Yin. This is impacting your receptivity. You're very adept at giving, at showing, at sharing, at explaining. You're very gifted at healing and freeing others, but your energy is stuck on not wanting to necessarily monetize or anything because you're still learning on this journey, this part of your life. You're learning how to receive. And it's not receiving on a spiritual level because you are incredibly spiritually gifted. And pile 4, I do feel like you guys are incredibly tapped into your spiritual gifts. So you're able to receive from spirit, receive downloads, receive awareness, receive what is needed of you for yourself and others. But now spirit wants you to receive materially, receive in your physical world, receive what is yours, your blessings to come, and it's being blocked off because of this fear of what might happen if. And it is a fear of what might happen if because of some sort of past life wound that you can't necessarily remember, or you do remember, but you try to shut it out. That may be just very specific for one person. But I get the sense that most of you don't remember this particular life, but if you feel called to shamanism, or you know that this is something that you do and you know that you have a knack for it, but you've never been able to explain it. It doesn't exist within your family history or anything like that, but you just feel it. It's because this is a different part of ancestry. This is a soul ancestry. This is a soul gift and a soul life. And sometimes we incarnate into a physical line, a bloodline that won't remember because there isn't enough of a tie, and it is for our soul to awaken it within ourselves. And that comes in the time it comes. And I'm hearing it comes now. Okay, so let's see how your guides are showing you, what signs they're giving you. Oh my gosh, you're kidding me. We have karmic path. You may be a Leo rising, or you could have Capricorn in your 8th house. I'm trying to figure out what that would make you. Capricorn, go back to Virgo. Gemini, right? Yeah, Gemini rising. Okay, sorry. Whew. More so, the reason why I say Leo rising is because Saturn energy. And with that 8th, I got the 8th house, Saturn in the 8th house. You could also have Saturn in your 8th house. So if you aren't a Leo rising, but you do have Saturn in your 8th house, that's how your guides are showing you. They're showing you by bringing you people who are part of your karmic past. Oh, I meant to say path, but past came out. So part of your karmic past from this life in particular, because the 8th house is the mystery, the occult. It's in the physical world, sex, death, and taxes, and other people's money. So this is about the karma of other people's money and being more receptive to other people's money and allowing for a transformation of this part of your soul. So people who have walked a life with you where you were cast out and or how do I phrase this? Met your end. I'm trying to say it in a nice way, just in case I get flagged. Met your end due to your gifts. There is a karma here of that part of you being reborn and rising like the phoenix. And there are people coming in that want to give to you and aren't going to take no for an answer. And the reason they're not going to take no for an answer is because you're radically transforming their lives. And so now is the time for you to learn how to receive. Wow. Okay. So let's find out what your shadow has to say about this. What does your shadow have to say about this? Okay. So we have the Emperor here. That's Aries energy. But this is rising above. It's allowing yourself to see the stability, the balance, the power, the prowess that you have in this life. Your divine masculine in your shadow is needing you to know that it is ready to. It's like your divine masculine is ready to be incorporated in a different way. This is interesting. I've never had that. It's like your divine masculine wants to receive. What else? What else does the shadow need to know? Don't fear what feels. Don't fear what feels so natural that it is almost wild inside of you. It is it's your growth point. It's your grounding point. It's your growth point. We have the 6 of Swords and the 5 of Cups. And this particular 5 of Cups, I've worked with this 5 of Cups a lot. When I first got this deck, that was like almost a daily card that would come out for me. It is the cup of sadness. It's watching something fall apart and watching your lifeblood just pour from it. This is a card that shows that everything that you have poured yourself into that has fallen apart has been like watching your blood just pour out and run away from you. It's destruction to the core. This is the only 5 of Cups card that really, really captures the essence of loss, of what real sadness is. And even on a creative level of what it feels like when you pour your everything into something and it just crumbles. And you just stare at it as it just falls apart, and you know you're powerless to stop it and you're powerless to change it. So your shadow wants you to know that there is something within you that has been, it's felt like everything is always a loss. Everything always just pours out, crumbles down, breaks down. It just pours out. Your divine masculine is like rearing up, and not in a bad way. It's literally like in a really healthy, strong way of saying, I'm ready to heal this. We're ready to heal this. we're ready to move beyond the sadness of feeling like it's all going to be a loss. When you do good things happen. And sometimes when you do good things, you can't see the good things that happen because they happen later on. They happen down the line. And in the immediate, it can look like it isn't a good thing. It can look like a pain or a wound or a trauma has occurred. And sometimes it is that. But it doesn't mean that good things don't still come to people who do good things and people who are operating out of that energy. And I am not one to subscribe to good versus bad, but we all know because we have our own moral code. And if you're moving in a state of integrity, and pile 4, I definitely get that from you. You know that sometimes you go on this journey and you feel like, what happened? Like, how did this happen? How it happened was there's still this shadow. And as this shadow manifests, it manifests in ways in which you actually engage your gifts in a way or in a situation that was never going to be reciprocal, because the karmic lesson is learning where the reciprocity is and then being open and receptive to reciprocity, to balance. Yeah, on the back we have the Hermit. It's that inner light that you need to go and see. Your divine masculine wants you to heal this internal piece of you, this piece that's holding on to a sadness from a past life that it's translating into the present existence, and it makes it difficult to fully engage in this life. And I have been there myself. I have had to go through some really, really tough past life regressions where I have had to take a lot of time to work through the memories that came back and the things that I had witnessed and things that I had seen and the things that I had done, and forgive my past self, forgive that past version of my soul, and then remember that you're not that past version of you. Whether this is this life or a past life, you are not that version. That is the beauty of this process. We transform, we transmute, we grow, we change, we heal, and then we become a better version of ourselves. We're still the same pure light and love at our core. But there are layers of shadows that we have to shed, that we have to heal, that we have to learn to love. There are layers that we have to shed. And in order to do that, we have to be able to look at the truth of ourselves and say, okay, why is this here? And sometimes it comes from something that we don't necessarily remember, but Spirit wants to make you aware of this because it's past due. It's past due. I'm seeing like a letter, but it's blessings, and there's like this past due stamp on it. Your new beginning, your abundant life, your receptive life, it's past due. You are past due for massive levels of blessings, happiness, joy, everything. It's time for you to learn how to receive. So let's find out your empowered state. We have Rita of Cassia, the patroness of impossible causes. I am miraculous. My prayers create powerful channels of possibility. So impossible causes, this is saying that nothing that you at one point have perceived as an avenue that you shouldn't or couldn't or won't go down because of some sort of fear that you are carrying within you that is definitely linked to a past life for you guys. It's not impossible. It's not an impossible life. And you being open and receptive and receiving your blessings and actually having the blessings come in, that's not an impossibility either. And moving from the karmic lessons to the karmic blessings is absolutely possible. And that is why your guides have been really pulling you towards, and especially Saturn, maybe astrology, but more so Saturn, because Saturn's like, hey bro, like you've learned this lesson before. You've done this before. You've grown. I see it. I'm ready to release these to you. Are you ready to receive? So yeah, that's what I have for you guys. All right. Wow, pile 4. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this reading really did resonate and help you. And I hope you guys are able to see this, heal this, and really, really become more receptive, because I feel like your life is really going to change for the better if you do. I want to say thank you so much to your guides, my guides, Spirit, for connecting our energies, allowing these messages to flow through with such love, devotion, dedication, and clarity. Thank you. And a special thank you to Saturn. Thank you. All right, my lovely pile 4s, this is what I have for you. If it resonated and you feel called to, please do those YouTube things, liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting. You know the drill. If you guys don't feel called to, no big deal. I will see you at my next reading. Love you guys. Bye.